if I get this straight here. I think we're live. All right. All right, so Bobby's he's in a pretty deep shed. I don't know how good he's going to be sitting on my shoulder here. He ate a rat the other day too, so we'll see how long he actually lasts in this live stream. And I just realized it's Friday. Usually I don't get that many people Friday night live streams. A lot of people go out on Fridays, I think, so it'll be interesting to see how many people actually show up. All right, we got a few comments. All right, so I'm going to switch to live chat instead of top chat so I don't miss any comments. All right, Amethyst Marshall, first to comment. How's it going? Trip McNeely, hey, I'm first. You're actually second. Fishing for Life, hello. Dustin, we got to stop the Lacey Act. Yes. Paul Byfield, what's up? Amethyst, it's my first time here. Hey, welcome. This is Bobby the Bamboo, deep in shed. Take a look at Bobby here. Looking pretty great out. It's doing pretty good. Funny Man, hi. That's a pretty funny name. Funny Man, Serendipity Snakes and Snitches, what's up? LS Family Pythons, hello. Shane, yeah, I heard about the new Lacey Act. Everybody's talking about the Lacey Act. If they're gonna change some of the verbiage in the Lacey Act, that would be pretty bad if they actually change it. Dustin, I'm awesome. Keep it going. All right. Wow, lots of comments. 43 people on already. First 2 minutes. That's crazy. Let's see. Glad you're doing so well. Yes, thank you, Eric Wilson. Fresh Produce. Haven't seen that name before. Oh, it used to be the Rock Lesnar. What's up? Austin Griffey. What's up? K-Dog. What's up? Juan. How many eggs did I get from the retake? I actually got 49 eggs and 4 slugs. I got 2 slugs right at the end and another egg, so that brought me up to 49 eggs. Pretty good. That'll be pretty awesome. I was actually looking online. Someone actually had a dwarf reticulated python that was a lavender. They are absolutely beautiful as hatchlings, so it'd be pretty awesome. King Cardano, which state am I in? I'm actually in Colorado, here in the mountains of Colorado. Mama Dragon 24, do you have to have a permit or license to breed and sell ball pythons? No, as far as I know, I don't think anywhere in the United States you actually need a license. So if you're actually breeding, you need to set it up as some kind of a business, like a sole proprietor, an LLC or something like that, if you're making money off of it. So, you know, the IRS can get their taxes. But yeah, other than that, keep in mind in some places, like in some suburbs of New York, some places around New York, it's actually illegal to have ball python. So you have to make sure you know your local laws as far as kind of what's going on in the area. Something's up with the camera. What's up with the camera? All right, this is actually my cell phone. Yeah, so I did clean the lens. That's as good as it's gonna get, I think. Let's see. If a person wants to start breeding, what pair should he get? Well, you need a male ball python and a female ball python. It doesn't really matter which genes. I'd say some of the more common stuff that people start out with, I'd say when I first started, pretty much across the board, people will say you should get like pieds or clowns. Both of those are really popular and do really well. The problem is with recessives, it can get kind of challenging with the hets and the possible hets. What I would probably do I would buy a female that's like a normal or a single gene female, and then I'd get a male that has a lot of genes. So when you breed it to that female or multiple females, you can actually get kind of a whole rainbow of colors. That's the way I would do it. Let's see. Does Bobby get a little antsy when he's in shed, or is his behavior the same? He seems like he's really super mellow. Hey, we got a super chat. Thank you, Daniel. Oh, I was wrong. It was my YouTube. Camera's fine. All right, yeah. So yeah, it looks pretty good down here. I'm actually previewing. The funny thing is the last time I did a live stream, it was the first time I used my new phone with this high-speed connection, and I actually set up a hotspot on my phone, ran the hotspot down to my laptop, and after 3 hours of a live stream, I used up all my hotspot data, so I had to actually go and renew my plan to get my hotspot back, which was terrible, which was like $50. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, I'm not doing the hotspot through my laptop anymore. Bobby's beautiful, even in shed. Yes, he is. Why is Bobby retired? Yeah, so when I started out, I bought Bobby. I think I paid like $1,200 for Bobby. Bamboos were pretty expensive back then. And I actually bred Bobby to something else, produced bamboo combinations. So right now I'm breeding mainly my bamboo calico to some of the other stuff that puts calico in a lot of my combinations. I also have a bamboo lesser, and the problem is if I just breed like Bobby to a normal, I'll get half bamboos and half normals, where if I breed a multi-gene animal, then I'll get a lot more combinations. As a matter of fact, I'm actually growing up one of my females that's has a whole bunch of genes with the bamboo. So the more genes you put in there, the less you really need just a single gene male. But you know, he's pretty much just retired now just because he just has the one gene. I have better breeders as far as the genetics. I'd say as far as a lot of people upgrading their ball pythons, a lot of times what happens is in some cases what people will do is they'll produce the multi-gene animals, say with the bamboo in it, and then they'll get rid of snakes like Bobby, and they'll just constantly keep upgrading. Instead of selling your best of the best that you just produced in the year, you'll actually hold that back as future breeders and then sell some of your normals and stuff like that, unless you really expand your collection. All right, I recently just bought my female spider Enchi, about a year old, just deciding what male. Yes, spider Enchi, that's a pretty cool combination. Just make sure you don't breed it with another spider or a champagne, because the super spider and the spider champagne are both lethal combinations, where the eggs will develop, but they'll die in the egg, as far as what I understand. So I just stay away from those two genes. Let's see. Kevin, when do you stop putting your male with the female? So this year I'm actually still pairing up my males and my females. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of having more of a lag between the breaks. I'm pairing up less this year than I normally pair up. And most people will say you have to pair your males and females at least once a month. I'm actually pairing for 5 months. So I start in the middle of October. So it'd be November, December, January, February, the middle of March, which is like another month. Another month, and I'll stop pairing my males and my females. And then after that, once I stop pairing, I basically just look through all my females pretty much every single day to see if I have any eggs until like mid to late summer. And then I'll just stop looking in the tubs, and then I'll go through with my ultrasound and see if any of the females might have some eggs inside of them. All right, Rob's Outdoors Inc. Hit that like button. All right, alrighty, so far behind in these comments. 54 people on, 15 thumbs up. All right. Joe Gray, what rat food do you use and where do you get it? Yeah, so I actually use the Missouri 6F rodent food. and I get it down at my local feed store. So I was pretty lucky to actually find it locally. And they just buy it by the pallet, and they're pretty much the only people in the whole Front Range. There's just that one store that sells the Missouri rodent food, which is kind of crazy. And I pay like $35 a bag now, which is pretty insane. I'm almost tempted to go over to dog food or something, but the Missouri does really well as far as producing really healthy rodents. So that's kind of why I stick with it. All right, Ethan, is blue light bad for ball python's eyes long term? I'd say usually ball pythons really don't like a lot of light, especially if you're doing like anything with like a UV light or something in it. Like if you had like a black light or something, it probably wouldn't be that good for a ball python. But if it's just a really dim light, that'd probably be okay if it was just pretty dim. All right, Amethyst, I just picked up 3 ball pythons, a bamboo, spider, and an albino. Nice. That's pretty awesome. Ashley, what's up? Austin, how are Lucy's eggs doing? Lucy just laid 49 eggs. They're all in the incubator. They're doing great. I check on them every day. I'm like looking at the temperature, just kind of looking through the box to make sure they're okay. But I'm sure they'll be fine I probably won't have to check on them for like at least 3 weeks. And then after that, I'll probably go in and just open them up and just check on them, make sure that I'm not getting any mold or anything in there. Still raising Cayuga. Yes. So I do have my Cayuga ducks. I'm also raising Muscovies, pecans, and black Australorp chickens. So I have 4 different kinds of birds. Just put up some netting to keep the hawks away because I had a hawk that was like wiping me out. I think that thing killed like 4 chickens before I got my netting up. What pairings are you doing this year? Yes. So I actually am pairing up 23 females this year, which is kind of crazy. I actually have a whole list and a whole spreadsheet, but it's actually on my other laptop, which is currently in the computer shop. I had the weirdest thing happen to my laptop that I usually use for all my videos. Apparently there's a really thin battery under the mouse pad. And my battery started swelling up to where the mouse pad was almost popping out. It was really crazy. And I brought it to the computer shop, and the guy's like, yeah, if you would have left that computer could have started on fire, which is kind of crazy. So he had to order a new battery, and it takes like a week to get it in or something like that. But yeah, I had all my pairings on that one. Pretty much the one I'm really looking forward to this year is I'm pairing up my lesser scaleless head with my I have 2 lemon blast scaleless head females, so I could get a lesser pinstripe pastel. What would that be? That would actually be a queen pin scaleless head, which I've never produced a queen pin. It might be kind of hard to identify. No, that'd be completely scaleless. It wouldn't be a scaleless head. So it'd be a completely scaleless queen pin, which would be a pretty awesome combination if I actually hit it. All right, 3M Exotics, what's up? I was wondering if it was possible when you're breeding a male to a female after playing 1 meal, can you put together another male in there as well? Read that. Male with her. All right, so I think the translation, the autocorrect kind of messed this one up. Yeah, so if you're pairing 1 male with a female, you can definitely follow up and pair with another male. I've actually seen some people do that, and sometimes, in some cases, I've actually seen females lay a bunch of eggs, and some of those eggs are fertilized from 1 male, and some of those are fertilized from another male, which is kind of interesting. As a matter of fact, if you're using a really young male, say for example, you have a male you really want to breed and you're trying to push him real hard and he's really young and you're trying to breed him at like 400 grams or 500 grams, which I've actually done before, and you're trying to pair him with your females. What I would actually do in that case is pair up with the female a couple times and then follow up with one of your more mature breeder males that you know 100% sure that it's going to breed with that female. That way, if the first one didn't breed because of the age, you'll actually still get something from that female, which I've actually tried to breed some of my snakes too young, and breeding multiple females with one male. If it's too young, sometimes you almost have like a bust of a year because you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket with a young male. As a matter of fact, I did that this year. I'm using 2 males on 4 females. So last year I paired up my blue-eyed leucistic, which is a bamboo lesser, to 4 snakes, and none of those 4 snakes laid eggs. So I was like, my bamboo lesser must be too young, or there's something wrong with my bamboo lesser. So this year I cycled my bamboo lesser through 4 females again, and then after several pairings I actually went back in with my pastel pinstripe calico bamboo, another male that I'm raising up that's quite a bit bigger. And that one was locking with a lot of those females. So depending on what I'll get from those females, I'll know for sure which one I came from, which would be kind of interesting. Christopher Vargas, what's up? Ball and Boa owner here. Love the content. All right. K-Dog, just got my Bol Python, a 40-gallon breeder. Nice. Dwight, go to USR, get informed concerning the Lacey Act. Yeah, so pretty much every single YouTuber that's in the pen industry is talking about the Lacey Act. As a matter of fact, if you just type in Lacey Act and pet trade, you'll pull up all kinds of different. As a matter of fact, I first saw it when I was looking up some fish videos for some of my African cichlids, and I just recently converted one of my saltwater tanks to freshwater and filled it with a bunch of neon tetras. I was kind of getting into the fish thing again, and a lot of the fish people are freaking out about the Lacey Act too, as far as restricting a lot of fish. So as far as what I've actually understood, what they're trying to do is they're trying to have like a whitelist of all the species that you can transport across state lines. And in the case of fish, it's really difficult because if you actually look at like the African cichlids, there's so many different species of African cichlids. There's like new ones discovered every single year, and it gets so confusing because there's so many species. And to take all those species and try to put it on a whitelist in the Lacey Act, that would be like, probably hundreds, maybe 1,000 different species just of African cichlids. So yeah, that could be devastating if they actually went with like a whitelist where you actually had to have the species on the whitelist to transport it. So yeah, every industry is going to be affected. All right, Wham's Pride, congrats on the retic eggs. I'm excited to see them hatch. I am really excited to see those snakes hatch. 49 little baby retics. Can you imagine? That's going to be awesome. Yeah, hopefully they don't ban interstate transport of retics before I can actually hatch them out and sell some of those retics. I got some people that definitely want them. Junior Toppins, what's up? My male and female lay with each other but will not lock. Is there anything I can do to get them to lock? Yeah, so keep in mind, if you actually put a male and a female together, unless you're watching them 24/7 all the time, like unless you have like a camera on them and you're constantly watching them and reviewing the camera footage, more than likely they're gonna lock when you're not seeing them lock. And I kind of had that when I started looking the first year I was pairing up my snakes. I was peeking in every single tub to look for locks several times a day. And I'd say most of my snakes, I didn't see a lock, and most of my snakes all laid eggs. So I'd say in most cases, they're going to lock when you're not looking. And sometimes they'll lock for like 15 minutes and separate. So I would say I don't even worry about actually visually looking at the lock. I just make sure that I put the snakes together at least one time for a period of over at least 5 months, 4 or 5 months, I'd say. Let's see. Florida, you need a license to legally sell a reptile. What? That's crazy. Yeah, Florida. Oh, I did not know you needed a license in Florida. All right, Corbin, can't wait for NARBC Arlington tomorrow. Nice. All right, Madison, been pairing my female regularly since early December. Just felt her and felt nickel quarter-size lumps. Nice. Right now she's soaking, so ovulation yet, right? Yeah, so yeah, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if they're going to ovulate or not, but yeah, if they ovulate, you'll definitely get some eggs. As a matter of fact, I saw Lucy ovulate. She got really big. Probably, I'd say maybe about 3 weeks before she laid those eggs, she ovulated. And the funny thing is, when Lucy, my retic, she laid those eggs, I actually took her out. I put her over here in this boa tub, and I scrubbed her cage down and kind of wiped her off a little bit, put her back in her enclosure here in the reptile room. The first thing she did, that crazy snake, she actually wrapped around the water bowl like she's incubating the water bowl like it's a pile of eggs or something. She's just kind of stuck on the water bowl. That kind of backfired as far as getting her back on food. Yeah, so if you start pairing in December, you probably won't see an ovulation yet. I usually see my ovulations right after about 4.5 to 5 months is when I start seeing ovulations. And then usually once I see my first ovulations, I take all my males and I pull them all out of the female tubs and pretty much call it as far as the pairing season. George Williams III, what are your plans for the Lacey Act if it takes effect? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, as a matter of fact, I was actually thinking about buying a reticulated python at one point, and right before I bought it, the Lacey Act kicked in, and it was illegal to transport reticulated pythons across state lines. And then I actually bought, was it Lucy? Lucy, I bought her as soon as they reversed it. So it keeps flip-flopping back and forth. So if they actually take the Lacey Act and they change it, doesn't mean it's always going to be the same forever and ever and ever. It seems like they keep, going back and forth. And someone fights it and they win, and then they reverse it and they go back. And yeah, so I definitely am worried about the Lacey Act. I would think that they would put ball pythons on the safe list. So that's, for me, raising ball pythons, it's pretty good. The only thing I'm really worried about is the reticulated pythons. If they put retics back on the Lacey Act, it's really tough it'll be tough for me because this is the first year breeding reticulated pythons. But some of these guys, all they do is breed retics. So that would be devastating for some people. All right, can 2 males be paired with the same female at separate times? Yes. I've actually seen people do 3 males with a female. So sometimes if you want, like, say, for example, if you had like a normal ball python and you wanted, say, for example, you had a bamboo, you could put a bamboo in there. And then if you had another single gene male, you could put that one in there and another single gene male. And then when she lays eggs, you have more than just one gene kind of floating around in all the eggs. But as far as I know, if you actually put a bamboo with that, and then say, for example, you took the bamboo out and put a pastel in there, I don't think you could see bamboo and pastel in the same egg. You get some eggs from the bamboo and some eggs from the pastel. Let's see. It's an orange ghost het pie crossed with a black pastel banana het pie. Nice. Could you live stream the retic egg cutting? Yeah, I usually don't. I usually don't do live streams during egg cutting because I'm kind of preoccupied and I really can't see people's comments. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. It'll be egg cutting 49 eggs in one video. I'll be cutting them all at once. That will be crazy. Cutting 9 boxes of eggs. Yeah, I probably won't do a live stream on that one. The other thing with the live stream, my phone quality isn't that great. I think I can get better quality from my camera. So we've been going for 25 minutes, 66 people on. Pretty amazing for a Friday. I thought, you know, sometimes with I'm doing live streams on a Friday, a lot of people are kind of out partying, but 39 thumbs ups. All right, Choosy, what's up? If I put a male, normal, possible het, and a female with 3 genes, what would be the outcome? Yeah, so keep in mind, if it's a possible het, I would just say it's a normal until you actually prove it out. It's a normal. And if it's a possible het and you don't breed it with another recessive, then you don't even know if you actually have it or not. And then the 3 genes, it really depends what the 3 genes are. So if they're recessives, like a triple recessive or something like that, you'll get all hets. If they're dominant or co-dominant, then you'll get a mix of all those 3 genes in your offspring. You can actually go over to Morphmarket or the World of Ball Pythons and go to the genetic wizard and type in all the genes and see the odds of all the offspring. All right, let's see. I bought 2 snakes off Craigslist about a week ago. The guy had no idea what he was doing, but I got him looking way better. Yeah, I got my normal female off of Craigslist years ago. And the funny thing with that is the guy bought a snake and then he moved out and he gave the snake to his roommate, and his roommate didn't have a clue as far as what to do with a snake. And the guy was feeding this hatchling Ball Python 1 mouse once a month. And I got that snake. It looked like it just hatched out of the egg. It was super tiny. And the guy said it was like 1.5 years old. I started feeding that thing twice a week and it grew like a rocket. It got really big super fast. So even if they're way underfed and they're really small, they can catch up really quick. All right, William, what do you know about Gene X? Gene X, as far as I know, I think that was developed by Justin Kobylka. I haven't actually done a video on it. And I think he called it Gene X because he saw this kind of random thing floating around in his collection where some of the snakes look brighter, and he wasn't exactly sure of the genetics on it. And at the time, I think he called it Gene X. So I think it's a kind of a subtle morph that brightens the snakes. I'm not sure if there's a super Gene X or not. So I don't know a whole lot about Gene X. I couldn't really wrap my head around it enough as far as to kind of do an official video. Sometimes these genes are kind of difficult. Sometimes if it's really hard to see a Gene X versus a non-Gene X, or some of these that are really super subtle. Or say, for example, if I go over to Morphmarket and there's only like 2 examples of the genes in combinations, a lot of times I'll just pass on doing a video because I'm just kind of guessing. I don't really know enough about it. And sometimes it's some of those genes, you know, people think they have something and then they try to breed it and breed it and breed it. And even though it's named and it's over on like the World of Ball Pythons or something, sometimes the projects just die because it's so hard to see the difference between if the gene is in there or not. It's like a really super subtle gene and people just don't work with it. Noah, saying hi from Penrose, Colorado. What's up? All right. Most of this doesn't matter if the Lacey Act passed the Senate. Yeah, so I don't know. The kind of the frustrating thing about the whole Lacey Act thing is that they're actually taking it and adding it to another document, like as an appendix under the miscellaneous section on a 3,000 page document. I don't think it seems like they're trying to sneak all these things through by attaching something small to something really big that everyone wants to pass, and they'll kind of attach it on at the end, which almost seems really deceptive as far as they're doing it. As a matter of fact, I was listening to some politicians from the UK, and they were talking about how they take all these little things and add it to a big thing and try to pass the whole thing. It's either pass or fail for the whole thing. And they said nothing like that would ever happen in the UK. And they were actually surprised it was happening here in the United States. So I don't really get into politics that much, but what they're doing is just crazy. I can't even believe they're doing it. All right, Cody, they need to take the spider gene out of the world of reptiles. Just unfair. Yes. A lot of people are really for the spider. Some people are really against the spider. As a matter of fact, if you actually look over on Morphmarket, one of the #1 genes, the most popular genes of all of Morphmarket, is the spider gene as far as pure numbers, which is kind of crazy. I think it was one of the #1 genes as far as numbers over there. And some people are really for it. You can make some of the most amazing combinations until you see a spider with a really bad head wobble, and then you definitely change your mind about promoting the spider. You kind of go back and forth. It produces some really amazing combinations. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure. All right, Kenny, you were right about that Desert Ghost Axanthic. Really impressive. Got a shout out. US Arc. Yes. Government ruins all the fun. Yes. Oh, speaking of which, I was actually going to do a video today. I actually had the title and the thumbnail, and I was all ready to do it. And I decided I didn't want to get into politics, so I didn't do it. But I don't know if you guys realize, they actually passed the minimum reporting requirement for all the digital online formats for accepting currency online. They actually reduced it down to $600, and a lot of people don't even know about this. So, for example, it used to be last year, if you made less than $20,000 on PayPal, the IRS wouldn't be alerted. If you made over $20,000, PayPal would actually send a form to the IRS saying, hey, he made $20,000 over here on PayPal. Then you'd be required to pay taxes on that. Well, this year they took the $20,000, reduced it down to $600. So now if you make $600 on PayPal within 1 calendar year, you actually, PayPal will actually send a document to the IRS. It's a 1099-K, and you'll be required to pay taxes on that income that you got over on PayPal, which is crazy. And one of the things I'm having a problem with is for example, my Patreon. If I make money on Patreon, Patreon sends the money to PayPal before it goes to my bank account. So I'm actually getting hit twice. It's like a repetition of money that I'm making goes to the IRS, and then I have to figure out at the end of the year how to change everything up and convince the IRS that no, one of these 1099-Ks is bogus. So I was going to do a video on that, and I decided it was too much politics and a little offbeat and kind of depressing and down. So I decided not to do that video and decided to do a live stream instead. Let's see, Samantha. Very few single gene animals are as pretty as the bamboo. Yes, nice to still see them. Curious, is Bobby the same since he's no longer being used to stud? Yes, Bobby really hasn't changed. Yeah, so if I put him in with a female, he'll lock for like 3 days, and I won't have him for a video for like 3 days, which is kind of crazy. All right, Justin Morgan, what are your favorite double recessive projects you want to pursue? Yes, so I'm actually working on a triple recessive project. I'm going after the the albino pied clown project. I actually took an albino pied, bred it to a clown. What was it? 2 years ago, 3 years ago? No, I guess it's been. I have a male and 2 females that I'm pairing up this year. I don't know if they're going to go. They look pretty small for 2-year-old females. I don't think they're going to lay this year. And then this year, I actually hatched out some lesser triple hets. I actually held back 2 females and a male, the lesser triple het, which is pretty awesome. So I'm going to have 4 triple het females and 2 triple het males as holdback. So hitting that project pretty hard. One of the things I didn't realize when I started the project of adding the lesser into it is that if you actually put the lesser in with the pied, you'll actually get an all-white snake, which could mask, well, it would definitely mask the clown. Wouldn't mask the albino because it would have red eyes. So you'd know if you hit would be what would it be? The albino pied lesser would be the all-white snake with red eyes, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see what I get from that project. And then if I do produce like a visual, triple visual, like an albino pied clown, I'll probably pair that up with like a desert ghost or something. I'm thinking something like that. All right, we got another super chat. I think. Wait a minute. Yeah, Peyton. Nice. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you very much. All right, the hated movie collector. What's up? Could you put heat on the side of a tub? There's what do they call them? Heat ropes or something like that. I've actually seen where they put them on the sides of the tub. I've never actually used one. I'm not 100% sure how they work. But I would think unless the snake is actually sitting on the hot spot, it might be hard to digest something. Still got the pixie. No, the pixie frog died. It was an accidental death of most of my frogs. I have like 1 frog left out of all my frogs. We sprayed some ant killer on the deck and we had the windows open. The ant killer came in the house, came down to the basement, killed every single frog in the whole basement. And I had 1 Pac-Man up in my bedroom, my really big green Pac-Man, and that's the only one that survived. So unfortunately, they all died. How much money do you pull in every month off this channel? It really depends. I'd say like my worst months, as far as the ads, I pull in maybe $1,300, something like that, just off the ads. One of my better months this last year, I pulled in over $6,000 off of ads on this channel. And it was mainly from one video. One video is driving most of the growth of this channel. And believe it or not, that video is not a snake video. It's actually how to unlock a locked truck in 30 seconds. Out of all my videos, this is just kind of some random video that I posted. Just randomly took off. As a matter of fact, when I first posted that video, I had like 0 views for the first year. And then all of a sudden it just blew up and exploded. And you never know with YouTube, you get these huge peaks and swings and you get really excited and you're like, oh, I got all this money. And then the next month you're like, oh, I'm broke. It's like these huge emotional roller coasters on YouTube, which is kind of crazy. That's one of the reasons I actually started 2 more channels. My motorcycle channel seems like it's outperforming a lot of my snake videos and the really solid, steady growth compared to the wild swings over here on this channel. And then my other chicken channel, my homestead channel, I'd say it's still a really slow growth, slow start. I'm still not monetized on that channel. Let's see. Kenny says, let's see. You said you were an actual scientist before breeding ball pythons. Always enjoy the depth of your morph videos. Yeah, so I've been a chemist working in the lab for like 20 years. So I have a master's degree in organic chemistry, but I pretty much did analytical chemistry for the last 20 years. I was actually looking back. It's been almost 3 years since I left the lab and started doing YouTube full time, which is kind of crazy. Vinny says, I also have chickens and ducks. All right. Yes. Derek Clark, HR 4521 or 1260 Lacey Act could be devastating to reptile keeping. Everyone should research it, stop it from being passed. In the Senate, already passed in the House. Yeah. Yes, that could be devastating. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest threat to the ball python industry, I think, is, you get the wrong politician to sign the wrong thing, and in one pen stroke, you can completely destroy the hobby, which is really unfortunate. It's like we're always on the edge, always trying to fight for our rights. Always wondered how snakes found their water in their tubs. What's the rarest snake in your collection? Rarest. Yeah, I have one right here. I actually just fed it. This is probably a world's first right here. This girl just ate a huge rat. I don't know if I want to pull her out too much. She's getting huge. All right, I want to show you this one. This is my lesser triple het. I don't want to move her too much because she just ate a big rat last night, but look at how big she's getting. So this is my lesser het albino, het pied, and het clown. As far as I know, it's never been produced before. So probably the rarest, maybe. That one's pretty cool. Of course, I have 3 of them. 3, and I think they're all world's firsts. That's pretty cool. John Brooks, hello, how are you? What's going on? Z8, you should definitely put a video out about it. We need to get the word out here. Yeah, I used to try to do videos on like the Lacey Act and the politics, and I feel like I really am not the expert as far as knowing everything. As a matter of fact, I was just watching a video the other day from Dave Kaufman. He was actually on a live stream with some of the people from USARK. And he's saying, yeah, a lot of people that are doing videos about the Lacey Act, they don't know what they're talking about. And that's kind of what I want to avoid, kind of jumping into the conversation, with thousands of people, watching me, expecting me to be the expert without really knowing all the ins and outs of the Lacey Act. And it seems like there's so many videos out there now. There's so much awareness. It seems like almost every reptile channel has actually done it. Hey, got another super chat. Thank you, Peyton. All right. Golden Constrictors. Got any Desert Ghost pairings this season? Yes. So I have 2 visual Desert Ghosts that I'm pairing up that my female hasn't laid, and she's actually 5 years old and still hasn't laid yet, which is absolutely frustrating. I'm pairing out my Pastel Enchi Desert Ghost male with my Pastel Spider Desert Ghost female. Hoping I'll actually get them to breed this year, which would be pretty cool. And then another thing I'm actually doing is I'm taking my Pastel Enchi Desert Ghost male, breeding it to my Pastel Calico female, which 2 years ago actually produced a visual Desert Ghost. I was all excited. I was like, hey, she's het for Desert Ghost. So then I paired them up last year. And last year we got a whole clutch, no visual Desert Ghost, not a single one. Even though I proved her to be het the year before. So I'm hoping this year I'll actually prove her out. Well, I already proved her out. I'm just hoping to produce that same super snake. All right, got another super chat. Respectfully asks, are you conservative? Yes. I am conservative, Republican. Although a lot of times I can see the kind of the point of view from the Democrats and the liberals. I can see what they're trying to accomplish, but I'd say 99% of the 99% of the time, they have the wrong approach as far as approaching the situation, and they completely get it wrong for some reason, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't usually talk politics too much. A lot of people are kind of really fired up about, being on one side or the other. But yeah, so I'm kind of in the middle as far as being able to see both sides. I know some guys are just like blinded liberals or blinded, Republicans or conservatives. And I can definitely see both sides to it. Let's see. Clint, I've been in this for 2 months now. I have 4 balls. Got the last one from a show. Messed up, didn't quarantine. Now all have mites. No. I'm doing the Dawn soap bath and tank clean every 2 days. Oh, it's awful. That's pretty bad. Oh, what are you doing? This snake is like in a knot. Yeah, getting mites is no fun at all. It'd be interesting to see how the Dawn soap works. I've actually heard some people have some pretty good luck with Dawn soap. The vivarium. Do you have a tool to calculate multi-generational breeding plans? Not that I know of. It really depends on what snakes you choose for the offspring. But no, as far as that, no, I don't have anything like that. Zach King, I know the breeding weight limit for females is 1,500 grams, but do you think there would be an advantage to waiting a year to get the weight up to 2,000? So yeah, so would you get more eggs? I'm kind of on the fence as far as waiting. So I used to be kind of a big proponent of waiting on the females to get to a bigger size before you actually breeding. But if you're at 1,500 grams and you pair them up the first year and you get like 6 eggs, I would think it would take you a while to actually make up the 6 eggs. But possibly if you waited longer, if it was eating really well, I don't know. I don't know. It seems like, though, when I pair up females at about 1,500 grams, it does kind of stunt their development. So it might be worthwhile to wait till they're a little bit older. All right, 79 watching, 80 watching, 61 thumbs up. All right. Jack Hartree, what's up? We've been going for 47 minutes. Let's see. Thank you. She's a 2,500 gram calico, and he is 800 gram DJI Mavic Bumblebee. Wow, that's a pretty interesting mix. DJI Mavic Bumblebee. So, yeah, Bumblebee with calico. That would be kind of interesting. Oh, you got 2 dark genes, the DJI and Mojave, and then you got the Bumblebee with the calico. That would be a really super bright, high white snake on the side. You can get a lot of really cool combinations out of that. All right, New York Slice. My ball is 1.5 years now. It's her first winter of not eating. She ate last December 18th. She molted a few days ago. How do I know when it's okay to feed again? So for 1.5 years, ball python, a lot of times they'll come up to like the 1,000 gram wall and kind of get stuck right at anywhere from like 800 to 1,200 grams. Sometimes they won't eat for a long time. What I would actually do, it's been December, January, it's been like 2 months for that snake. I would probably try a live mouse. Put a live mouse in there. Just one live mouse. That could be the trigger sometimes to get them back on food. And then after that, like the next week, I'd follow up with like a frozen thawed rat or whatever you're doing. But I'd say sometimes to kind of snap them out of it, usually, especially for like a 1.5-year-old, it should be a good size for a live adult mouse. Let's see, Luke's Morphs. If you were going to go with a double recessive Desert Ghost combo, what would you go for? Desert Ghost Clown, Desert Ghost Pie, Desert Ghost Puzzle? If you could afford the Desert Ghost Puzzle, as a matter of fact, that might be, I forgot about the puzzle. That might be a good, recessive gene to actually add to my triple recessive to make the quadruple recessive, adding puzzle, which would be pretty awesome. Yeah, and you make a lot of the puzzle combinations, they can make some really amazing combos. I'd probably go with the puzzle on that one. Let's see, where was I? Austin, you need to see on Morphmarket, Enchi, Spot Nose, Leopard, Coral Glow, Clown. Yeah, so 12,500. So yeah, I've actually seen the Coral Glow Batmans, which is the Coral Glow Leopard Spot Nose Clown. Haven't seen the one with the Enchi in it though. So that's essentially adding Enchi to the Coral Glow Batman, which is a pretty awesome combination. Pretty hard to hit too, the odds on that one. Let's see. All right, so Dylan. Hey, Chris, I'm so excited about Sunny and Lucy's babies. I did the math on the lineage. I got 32.5% mainland, 15% Jampea, 18.75% super dwarf. I don't know if that's right. So she is 37.5 and 12.5. I can take a look at this real quick. So keep in mind, your numbers should add up to 100. So let's see. So 32.5 plus 50 plus 18.75 is 101.25. Yeah, something's off there. So it'd actually be half of the super dwarf, which is 37.5 divided by 2. So we're looking at 18.75. That's right. 50% Jampea. And the rest would be mainland. So it's basically 100 minus 50 minus 18.75. So it'd be 31.25 mainland. So pretty close. Basically the same thing. 31.25 mainland. So it really depends on how much you feed them too. I've actually seen people with just straight mainlands. A lot of people will feed them really light, like once every 2 to 3 weeks, like a smaller rodent, and they'll slow grow their snakes. I've actually seen like 3-year-old mainlands looking like super dwarfs, which is pretty crazy. And Lucy, when I bought Lucy, I was feeding her like 3 times a week. It was unbelievable. It was weird. When she was just a hatchling, I'd give her this really huge rat and she'd eat it, and there'd be this huge bulge in her. And then like 2 days later, the bulge would be completely gone and she was looking super skinny again. So then I give her another and another and another. I was giving her like 3 a week for like months and months and months. And that's why she's so big. She grew super fast. And I think if I wouldn't have fed her so much when she was younger, she wouldn't be 100 pounds. But yeah, she got big really fast. Yeah, more weight, more eggs. Yeah. Can I leave my collection of ball pythons to you in my will? Yeah, I'll take your ball pythons. Of course, let's see who lives longer. All right, Bobby. Bobby's like, in a deep shed here. Let's see. Aiden Bus. What's what direction should I go with my Ultramel project? Pied or Clown? Yeah, so pretty much one of the best Ultramels that I've actually seen is the Ultramel Pied. Super bright. I don't know if they were like photoshopping that thing or what. But I've seen pictures of Ultramel Pieds and they look completely unreal, which is probably what I would go for, the Ultramel Pied. Of course, Ultramel and Clown would be pretty expensive too, as far as you might make more money. Well, both of them would be pretty high end, I think, if you actually worked it in. All right, Nicole, when breeding, is it best to move the male and the female's enclosure, or do you move the females? Have you ever noticed a female get defensive towards a male? Yeah, so I've never really seen anyone move the females to the males. I've only ever seen people move the males, kind of cycle them through the females. So I suppose you could do it either way. And what I actually like to do is when I move the male in with the female, I take my little watering can with some lukewarm water. That's about, 85, 90 degrees, some warm water in my watering can. And I'll put the male right on the female, and then I'll sprinkle them both down with water. And for some reason, it seems like it just kind of changes their mood to where they're not in a feeding mode, they're not in a defensive mode, they're not in a flight mode. It kind of gives them both, it almost like shocks them both into, almost like stimulates the breeding process, which is kind of interesting. I've tried it without the water, and it seems like sometimes one will get a little bit more defensive, or one will still be kind of in a feeding mode. And it seems like the water just kind of snaps them out of it. Let's see. Hi, Anna. Do you breed anything else, or have you ever? So, as far as snakes, the only thing that I'm breeding is ball pythons. And then this year, of course, my reticulated python laid 49 eggs, which is pretty awesome. That my first year, I guess I can call myself a reticulated python breeder now that I actually got some eggs from her. As far as reptiles, I actually have some crested geckos upstairs in a really big enclosure, and I produce at least 6 or 7 offspring in there. So they're doing pretty good and producing some. I actually have a super Dalmatian and a pinstripe. So I'm getting a lot of pinstripe Dalmatian leopard geckos, which is pretty awesome. Crested geckos, not leopard geckos. They're crested geckos. All right, butt scratching. What's up? I have a ball python that the sex is a baby is a female. Every time I breed her, she fights with every male I put with her. I think she's a he. It could be. She could be a he. Yeah, so how did the vet sex that ball python? If they used a probe, I would say it's probably 99%. If they try to pop it, sometimes they'll try to, if they don't have their popping technique right, and they're trying to pop out the hemipenes, sometimes they can misidentify them. I'd say it's probably a higher probability popping. If they tried to probe it and it was too young, say if you actually had a brand new hatchling that has never eaten before, and you tried to probe it, sometimes the probes can give you an incorrect male or female based on how old the offspring is, the hatchling is. I like to probe them after they've eaten about 6 or 7 meals. It seems like that's they grow up a little bit and it's easier to probe them. All right, got another super chat. All right, let me see over here. Finally caught a live Gecko Oasis. I like that. All right, thanks for the great content. Thank you. All right, let's see. Wonderland. Let's see. Wonderland Reptiles. Hi, Chris. Been watching your videos for a long time. Wanted to say thanks for everything. Adam. You have to remember it's only the amendment that they want removed, not the whole bill. Anna says, although that's true, a female should never be overweight just for the sake of more eggs. So there's a clear limit to more weight, more eggs. Yes. But I was saying, as a breeder, it's a little bit different because a lot of times, like, for example, when I'm feeding my snakes, I'm almost convinced that if you feed a male ball python the same as a female ball python, I think the males can probably get the same size as the females. But the problem is like when I'm growing out ball pythons and I'm going through all my rodents, say I'm thawing out like 20 rodents and I have one that's ready to feed. If it's a really big rodent, I'll kind of preferentially look at my females thinking, hey, I can feed my female this bigger rodent and put more weight on her so she'll actually lay more eggs. So every time I get a bigger rodent, I tend to feed it to my females. Every time I get kind of a smaller one, I'll feed it to my males just because I know more food in can give me more eggs. So it's kind of a preferential thing. But yeah, you shouldn't really push your snakes really hard just for the purpose of, pushing them hard to get a lot of weight to make eggs. I've seen some people have, 1,500 gram snakes that were only a year old, and that's feeding them too much. You shouldn't feed your snakes like 3 times a week. That's way too much. All right, an answer for tomorrow. What's up? Spider is okay once the wobble is line bred out. So as far as what I've actually heard with the spider, you really can't line breed the spider, from what I've heard, to get the wobble out. I've actually seen some people take spiders with really bad wobbles, breed them to something else, and none of the offspring have a wobble. So I think we really don't completely understand the wobble. I produced some snakes here in my collection that had spider, and I haven't had really a single one that had a bad wobble, which is really good. So hopefully I won't ever have a really bad one. But yeah, spider's kind of rough as far as there's pros and cons to that gene. Let's see. How long do you leave your males with your females, and how often do you pair back up? Yeah, so what I'll actually do is I'll pair one male up with 4 females. So I'll take the male and I'll put it with the female, usually for 3 to 5 days. My schedule says 3 days. And sometimes I'll leave it in for up to 5 days before I'll actually remove it. And then I'll move it from one female to another one, leave it in for 3 days, 3 to 5. And then I'll give everyone a break. And this year, it seems like my breaks have been longer between pairing up, just to put a little bit more food and give a little more time. So I'm not really pushing my snakes real hard. And then what I'll do is I'll take that male and I'll put it in with a completely different female. I'd say usually I'll give them like 7 to 10 days at least before I'll pair them up with another female and kind of go through 2 more females the same way. And if you actually look at your pairings and you're actually doing 1 male to 4 females kind of in that rotation, you pretty much can only do 4 females in 1 month to really cycle that male through the female. So that's kind of why I just limit 1 male to 4 females. Otherwise, you're like dragging out the breeding season. All right, Peyton, do you still have the Pac-Man frogs? I only have 1 Pac-Man frog left, unfortunately. We had some ant killer. We sprayed on the deck, and we had some windows open, and it actually came in and killed all my Pac-Mans, unfortunately. Which I didn't realize how toxic that stuff was to Pac-Mans. Let's see. I've heard a theory that the spider gene is caused by the underexpression of a gene that affects both skin color and neurological issue. Yes. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if we could figure out what makes the spider wobble and figure out how to eliminate it? That would be awesome. Maybe some vitamins? It can't be that easy. T&J Reptiles got me an ultrasound today. All right. Both girls had follicles. Nice. All right. The Hated Movie Collector, what's up? Let's see how far I am behind on these comments. I'm like 30 behind maybe. All right, we've been going for an hour and 4 minutes. 71 people on the live. Personal info. What's up? Hey Chris, I have 2 ball python females. One is a banana pastel. The other is a spider banana Mojave. If I was to get one male to breed them both, what morph male would give the best bang for the buck? Banana pastel, spider banana Mojave. Good question. I don't know what Bobby's doing. He's like stiff as a board. All right, I want to put Bobby back. Oh. What are you doing, huh? All right. Whew. All right, so what male to get with bananas? So keep in mind, banana is really visually dominant as far as the color. So to get the best thing with the banana, I would probably add something that really jumbles up the pattern, but keeps the banana color. So you could do, depends on how much money you actually have. What would be pretty cool is if you actually did confusion. Confusion banana. Of course, a confusion anywhere from like $1,000 to $1,500 for confusion. So that'd be pretty expensive. But yeah, you can do some crazy confusion stuff. Would be pretty awesome. All right, so the neurological issues and the coloration cannot be separated. This explains the blackhead, which doesn't have a wobble. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting when you mix the blackhead with the spider and make the blackhead spider. The blackhead completely wipes out the wobble in the spider. Of course, it also wipes out the spider pattern too in the spider blackhead. Is a ball python expensive to care for a beginner? Depends what your definition of expensive is. I would say yes and no. Depends on where you get your rodents. So if you had like an adult ball python that ate like full-size rats, some of the large rats can be pretty expensive if you're buying them at the pet store. If you're buying rodents through like Rodent Pro or something, like a whole big box at a time. But if you only have one ball python, I'd say it's not that expensive. Compared to a dog or a cat, I'd say it's super cheap. If you get into something really big, like a reticulated python, that can get pretty expensive. With the bedding and you have to feed them like rabbits and stuff like that that are really expensive. It's probably one of your cheaper pets, a ball python. All right, fly, eagles, fly. I have a banana pied male, hope to breed next year. What would you breed to him? So, banana pied male. So, well, if you want to stick with the pieds, you could do another pied, or you could do banana works really good with a lot of your pattern enhancing genes. So you could do like spot nose or leopard or confusion or something like that. You could do, what could you do with that? You could get like a highway or a freeway. That would be kind of interesting. Take a banana pied male, breed it into a freeway. You would get banana, like a banana asphalt or a banana yellow belly. and if you can actually work pied into a freeway, that would be a crazy combination. That would be a pretty interesting project. I don't think I've ever seen like a freeway pied. Especially the banana freeways are really crazy awesome. All right, yeah. One of the best reptiles to keep. Just got 3 silkies. Yeah, silkies are like mini furry chickens. Yeah, they lay really small eggs too. Yeah, I've never had a silkie. Thoughts on the pastel freeway? Yes, I almost got into that project. One thing you have to keep in mind with the pastel freeways is if you actually look at 20 different pastel freeways, they all look completely different. And I think it comes down to the variability of not only the asphalt gene, but you also have variability of the yellow belly gene in the freeways. And I think the pastel can be really variable too. So you mix the variability of all 3 of those genes together, and some of them are just absolutely amazing. So what I would probably do, like with a pastel freeway, I would probably do 2 that look completely different, where you have different versions of all 3 genes. And when you mix them together, you can get different versions of the freeways and the pastel freeways and the super pastel freeways, all the stuff you can make from that. All right, peak pythons. What's the best way to start breeding on a budget? Yeah, so I would probably start out with an adult female, maybe like a normal, something like a single gene or normal. Sometimes you can pick them up pretty cheap. One that's at least 1,500 grams. Sometimes you can buy normals at reptile shows for like a couple $100 too. Sometimes, people kind of, they're upgrading their collection, and then sometimes off in the corner, they have these really big containers with their old normal females that they're wanting to get rid of. That's probably where I'd start, and then get a male, like a multi-gene co-dominant or something like that. And maybe within the first year, you can actually produce eggs. That's probably what I do. Try to get those hatchlings going so you can support your business with the sale of your hatchlings and kind of do it that way. Let's see. Is it recommended to get a degree before getting into ball pythons? I think you could do both. You could probably, if you just bought a couple ball pythons, they're not really that much work. So you could probably go to school and have, 2 females and a male and start a little breeding project kind of on the side and still do your school too. If you had like hundreds of snakes, I don't think you can do it both at the same time though. Breeding on a budget, get balls with a lot of hets. I would kind of recommend against the hets for someone new. Sometimes it can be kind of frustrating breeding hets and possible hets, and then you breed them together and you get like 1 visual out of 8 eggs or something like that. It's kind of discouraging. I'd probably start with like co-dominant or dominant or something like that, and then get into your hets a little bit later on. Would you pair 1,000-gram female 4 years old? Wow, I can feel follicles, but I'm nervous about her being too small. I would not do it. I wouldn't breed 1,000-gram female because I've heard through the grapevine, I haven't actually seen anyone do this, but they say if you breed a female too small, essentially what happens is it can develop eggs, and those eggs can be too big to actually pass through the female, and it'll get egg bound to the point where it could pass away. So it's kind of one of the reasons that you want to wait until at least 1,500 grams. Have I ever taken part in the Ball Python snake auctions online? What's the best morphs visualized to start breeding on a budget? Yeah, so I don't know. I would say get the genes that really appeal to you. One of the things you could do is go to some of your local reptile shows. If you're thinking about selling snakes at the reptile shows, you can actually look at the shows, look what other people have. Say, for example, if you go to a show and everyone has pinstripes on the table, or everyone has spiders or something like that, I probably wouldn't breed pinstripes or spiders, because once you start producing a lot of your offspring, you're going to pretty much have what everybody else has. That's one of the reasons I got into bamboos. I actually went to quite a few reptile shows in Colorado, and I didn't see one single bamboo. I saw one bamboo combination, but you couldn't even really see the bamboo in there. And when I started producing bamboos, I was pretty much the only one in Colorado to actually bring bamboos to the reptile shows. And that's kind of what you want to do, is you want to find something that you like, and something that nobody else is really breeding in your area, that you think people will buy too. So that's probably what I do as far as picking genes. Lee Frenchies, what's up? We are in Colorado looking for a snake for our 8-year-old. Do you allow people to come and pick out their snake? We like Cooper and Bobbles. Yeah, usually when people come up here, I meet them at the local Loaf and Jug that's about 10 minutes down the street. Yeah, my family doesn't really like a lot of people coming to the house. And I have so many people that I sell to. It'd be, almost like a retail store if I start bringing people in the house. That's kind of why I don't bring people in. So Dalton, how are the retic eggs? They are in the incubator. 49 retic eggs. Pretty awesome. Bruno, hello from Brazil. Wow. Any tips on how to feed the ball python when they are born? Yeah, so I remember my very first clutch of ball pythons. I actually just bought this hatchling rack right behind me. And I had, at the time I had about 28 or 29 hatchlings in that rack my very first year when I first started out. I was like, all right, I'm going to feed these hatchlings. I'm going to start with live rats, little live rat pups. And I actually put a little live rat pup in every single tub with all those snakes, left them in there overnight. And out of almost 30 snakes, only 2 of them ate the rat pups. I was absolutely frustrated trying to feed those. And I got to the point where I just had just a few rat pups. I was like working them through the rack again and again and again. And whatever I did, I just could absolutely not get those snakes to eat. Finally, I went to the reptile store and I said, I'm completely exasperated. I can't get these hatchlings to eat. And he said, you should try live mouse hoppers, which at the time I never really heard of. And he had live mouse hoppers. He was selling for like $2.50 a piece, which is ridiculous. I spent so much money. I think I spent like $70 or $80 on a bunch of live mouse hoppers. And when I put them in there, every single ball python in my whole rack ate. And that's what I knew. I need to breed mice, and I need to use live mouse hoppers for the very first meal for these snakes. That's kind of how I learned the hard way. Sometimes I'll actually take frozen thawed mouse hoppers. Sometimes you can kind of tease them into taking them for a first meal, but I'd say in most cases you definitely need live ones. What male would be the best? Yeah, so if you're looking to start on a budget, I think that's what we were talking about. What male? If you're just starting out, I'll do like several co-dominant genes, like a pastel pinstripe, or a super pastel pinstripe, or something like that with multiple genes where you can actually see the genes in all your offspring and easily identify those genes. It seems like that would be the best way to start. Could you stick a small heat pad to the side of a tub to help with heating? I would say it's usually not necessary to stick a pad to the side of the tub. All right, red stripe, yellow belly, het clown, or red stripe GHI het clown. Boy, good question. Red stripe clown's pretty cool. Keep in mind, if you get into yellow belly, sometimes it's hard to tell if yellow belly is in offspring. And if you breed yellow belly to yellow belly, 25% of the time, you'll get the white snake, the ivory. So it can be a little bit complicated working with ivory. Of course, yellow belly, you could work that into like asphalt to get the freeways. So it depends if you want to go the freeway direction. Like a red stripe yellow belly het clown, you could do like an asphalt het clown and do red stripe clown freeways, which would be an insane combo, which would be pretty cool. And then the red stripe GHI, the GHI is a dark gene, which would be pretty cool too. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I'd say the yellow belly is a little bit more challenging, but you can make some pretty awesome stuff with the yellow belly. I'd probably do the yellow belly and go for the freeways. All right, Kuba Oda, what's up? What are your thoughts on super cinnamons, spiders, other morph with potential issues? Yeah, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, I'd say, with some of those genes. Like super cinnamons, I might risk that. So the spiders, like in my whole collection, I used to have a whole bunch of spiders. I sold them all except one spider combination in my Desert Ghost, my pastel spider Desert Ghost. So I am dabbling a little bit with spiders. Super cinnamons, you can actually do like the panda pieds. That's a pretty awesome project. So you can make some pretty amazing combinations with some of those genes, but there are potential issues. So I'd say most people, what they'll do is, they'll get one or two, they'll breed it, kind of dabble in it. If they have a good result, they'll breed it some more. If they have a really bad result, they'll never do it again. I've actually seen that. So it really depends on kind of where it goes when you first get into it. And kind of with the spider too, it's weird because here in Colorado, it seemed like everybody got out of spider and nobody had spiders at all. And a lot of people at the reptile shows would come up to me and say, hey, could you produce some spiders? Because we can't find them anywhere. So there is a small market for people looking for spiders. If you go to your reptile show and nobody has spiders, it might be something you can actually dabble in. What about a bongo Batman? Bongo Batman. I'm trying to think the bongo. I think the bongo actually resulted in a lot of striped combinations when you worked in a lot of genes with the bongo. So the bongo Batman would be a bongo spot nose leopard clown, which might actually end up being a striped snake, which would be pretty cool. The other thing with the leopard too is a lot of times when you work certain genes with the leopard can result in a lot of striping with a lot of your combinations. So you could have some really strong stripes on that one. It'd be pretty awesome. All right, Bruno, you're the best. I'm from Brazil. I have some babies. Any tips on how to feed when they are born? Yes, live mouse hoppers for sure. Dylan, I'm definitely excited to buy a female from you once they're ready. A lavender albino retix. Yes, so I was actually thinking about holding back one of those for myself. I was thinking about holding back a female. It'll be kind of interesting to see if all those hatchlings are going to be exactly the same, or if I have some hidden genes kind of floating around in there. So I know the male is he's actually a purple albino, but he's also het for anery, which is kind of like the almost kind of like the axanthic gene in reticulated pythons. So if you can actually hit both the anery and the albino, I'm pretty sure you get the snow, which is an all white snake. So it'd be kind of interesting to to prove out the big girl to see if she's actually het for antering, or if there's anything else kind of floating around there in the hets. And kind of the cool thing about reticulated pythons is if you have hets floating around, all it takes is one clutch and 50 eggs. You're definitely going to prove out if there's any hets. And then it's almost like 10 clutches in one go, as if you're actually comparing ball pythons to retics. All right, Riss Morris. Can super scaleless females lay eggs? Still not seen any eggs. So yeah, so the scaleless project really isn't that old. So when I first started in ball pythons, the scaleless heads were selling for like $45,000, which is absolutely crazy. Then the price came down really fast, but you know, at the time, people were barely producing any fully scaleless ball pythons. And you figure that was like in like 2015. So this has only been 6, 7 years. So you figure, you know, if you actually had two and then you had to wait 3 years for the females. So it's like 3 to 4 years before your females laid eggs to get the fully scaleless. And then here it is another 3 or 4 years later. So it's like right now is the first time that we'd actually see the females actually grow up to size, or we could see a female scaleless actually lay eggs. I actually heard one rumor of someone's female scaleless, completely scaleless, that actually laid some eggs, but I haven't really verified it. I haven't seen it. It's just kind of a rumor kind of floating around that I repeated once or twice. So I don't know if it's a true story or not, but that's kind of the problem with a lot of these new projects. You get something like this, and you don't know for like 6 to 8 years if there's going to be a problem with some of these, you know, like the scaleless or some of the new stuff coming out until you actually see all the ins and outs, and after it matures a little bit. All right, major pythons. I have an Enchi ball python, a girl. What gene would be great to mix her with? You could do, what I really like with Enchi is banana. I actually did a video about banana Enchis. One of my favorite combinations. You could also do, you could actually do like a banana Enchi, and make super Enchi bananas, which would be pretty cool. You could also mix Enchi with some of your other pattern enhancing genes. So you could add like the leopard and the spot nose, so the Enchi confusion, which would be really expensive. Bamboo sunset clown. I've not seen a bamboo sunset clown. I would think the sunset would completely dominate the bamboo and the clown. All three of those are really visually dominant. So, but I think the sunset's kind of hard because a lot of times it'll completely dominate a lot of the other genes. All right, Jeffrey's Exotics. What's some advice you could give to a person incubating their first clutches? Yeah, so I actually have quite a few videos on how to set up egg boxes. I actually use the 6-quart plastic tubs. I'll do 100 grams of vermiculite, 100 grams of water. I'll use an egg crate on top of that, and then I'll put press and seal on top of that. And what I've actually been doing this year, I actually started doing it last year a little bit. Instead of completely covering the whole thing with press and seal, I'll cover it and then I'll kind of fold back the press and seal on one little corner, maybe a third of an inch, something like that, just a little tiny crack in the corner of the press and seal to give it a little air. And then I put a white lid up on top of it. But it seemed like in some of the past years, I'd actually have some eggs fully develop in the egg and then they die in the egg. And I was wondering if it was because they didn't have enough air once they were fully mature. Maybe the press and seal was completely sealing up too much air in there. And I kind of switched to kind of crack in the end of the press and seal. And then just make sure your incubator's at a solid 90 degrees, and 2 months. It's pretty easy once you get it all set up. And this is just the same thing every year. Let's see where we're at. We're actually catching up to the questions pretty good here. Let's see. SS Bronx. What's up? Just got my son his first ball python. It's a Firefly Enchi. Nice. Just wanted to say thank you. All your videos are helpful and full of info. Yes. I absolutely love the Fireflies. That's the combination of the pastel and the fire. They really hold their color as they age and mature. And then when you add Enchi, that'll brighten it and make that's a really bright and flashy snake on that one. All right, GG Gamer. My ball python hides under his water bowl most of the time. The temperature, humidity, and setup are what they need most. So any tips or ideas? Yeah, so haven't had it happen in my collection very often. Sometimes with my really big females, for whatever reason, sometimes they'll try to hide under the water bowl. I'd say it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times in the last 6 years. And I just let them do it, and it seems like after a few weeks they just kind of snap out of it, and they won't do it for a long time. But it's kind of weird that they do that sometimes. Andrew, I think the spider gene only has the wobble really bad with improper care or incubation. Yeah, I wish we could figure it out. I always thought, I actually produced some spiders. I always thought it was the altitude, since I'm at a really high altitude, that I had better luck up here at higher altitude, as far as getting spiders without the wobble. Yeah, so some people have thought it's improper care. Some people think it's the incubation temperature. I've seen people say that they think it's vitamins. You can give them vitamins to kind of help with the, put vitamins in your rodents. I've seen some people say it's genetic. I don't think it's genetic. I've seen some people breeding really bad wobbles to other things and get no wobbles, and kind of vice versa. Perfectly fine spiders, breeding them together, and you get a whole clutch with really bad wobbles. And I think nothing is really proven at this point. I've seen people breed spiders for years and years with no problems at all. So some people think it's their line of spider. So I don't know. I think we still don't really know. And we've been breeding spiders pretty much from the beginning. You'd think we would have nailed it down by now. I think it's just kind of random. And sometimes you'll produce spiders with no wobble, and then as they age and mature, they'll get more and more wobble as they get older. So, yeah. So, all right, Jimmy, how's the temperature in ball pythons versus boas? Not sure about that. I think it's about the same between boas and ball pythons. I've never really had a boa, so I'm not 100% sure. I did one video on boa constrictors, and that was like before I really knew where the channel was going, before I really wanted to focus on ball pythons. And I didn't really know what I was talking about. I just kind of researched boas for like 6 or 7 hours, and I just spun it together in a video, but I can't remember if the temperature was different than ball pythons. Ball pythons tend to bite much less. I've actually seen some boa constrictor babies. I never realized those things can be really vicious. Man, they hiss and they'll snap at you. They're kind of frightening. I've never seen a ball python act like some of those boa constrictors. Matter of fact, I was wondering how my reticulated python hatchlings would be if they're gonna bite me up like crazy, which would be kind of wild. All right, we got another super chat. Thank you, J Reptiles. Do you separate your male if you confirm a lock, or do you leave them in for the 3 to 5 days? I leave them in for the full 3 to 5 days. Sometimes you can leave them in for 5 days, and at the end of the 5 days, sometimes they're still locked. Sometimes they'll lock up after 5 days. So if you're separating your males and your females after 3 or 5 days, what I would actually do is I'd take the tub and I'd slowly slide it out. If they're locked, you do not want to break the lock. I've actually done that a few times. And if you think they're locked, if they're on top of each other and you can't see the tails together, what I do is I just close it up and leave it for another day or two and just let them go until they're completely separated so you can see the tails. Because I've actually gone through, I'm like, all right, it's been 5 days. You just start pulling males and you pull out a male and you realize their tails are locked and you actually physically pull them apart. You're like, you don't want to do that. You want them to breed. So you have to really pay attention during breeding season. All right, Tarantula Nirvana. My female has finally crossed over the 1,000-gram weight for the first time in the 2 years I've owned her. She has refused food for the last month. I'm sure this is normal. Ball pythons are kind of finicky. As a matter of fact, so I was feeding my females 2 months ago, and almost every single one ate. And I just went through, fed them all the other day. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 that ate out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 11 out of 20 is kind of where I'm at. So just about half. I went from almost all of them eating down to half. So we're coming up on where everyone's going to start pretty much going off of food all at the same time here. Probably over the next month is when all my ball pythons will go off of food. All right, got another super chat. Thank you, Bearded Billy FPV. 2,300 plus grams each. They were never handled much with the previous owner aside from handling them. And take the bites. Is there anything else to help? So as far as taming them down, so if you have really crazy wild ball pythons, I've only ever had one that I really couldn't tame down. That was Chomper. For some reason, that crazy snake would bite me every single time. As a matter of fact, I was like, I'm trying to tame him down in some of my videos. I put him around my neck, and as I was talking on the video, that snake was like biting me all over the place. It was crazy. I finally sold that snake, and then I heard someone else bought it, and then someone else bought it. It's been kind of floating around. Everyone's trying to tame down Chomper. But other than that, usually the best thing for like a wild snake is just to hold it as much as possible. I actually had a hatchling. Some guy said it was his meanest hatchling that he's ever produced. And actually just took the hatchling. I held it for about 45 minutes straight until it just relaxed and then started crawling all over me. And now it's one of my friendliest snakes after just a few sessions of holding it for about 45 minutes. So you could try that, just kind of some extended handling sessions. I have both. Boas seem pretty chill. Yeah, it seems like once boas get a little bit bigger, they really mellow out. One of these days, maybe soon, I don't know. I was thinking about getting a super fire boa, which is the all white, which is pretty cool. I was thinking about getting a male and a female, which would be awesome. All right, Erica, thank you for all of the valuable info. Yes, thank you. Jimmy, really though, anyone know about boa genes? I don't know any of the boa genes. When it comes to boas, as a matter of fact, I don't know any of the retics. All I know is like the albinos and the purple albinos, pretty much just what I'm working with. I know the tigers and the super tigers, reticulated pythons. But yeah, other than that, I don't know anything as far as the genes in other species. All right, peak pythons. Hey Chris, I am 12 years old and looking into breeding ball pythons. Do you think I should start young or wait till I'm a bit older? Depends what your mom thinks. If your parents let you get a snake, I'd say start now. So especially if you got like a hatchling female and you're thinking about breeding, it's like 3 years before that hatchling is ready to breed. So 12, you'll be 13, 14, 15 when it's ready to breed. So yeah, it's kind of a long game, so I'd start early as you can. If you could make your dream morph, what would it look like? My dream combo, or my dream combo. I'd say probably some of my dream combos are some of the freeway combos, like the banana freeways, the banana inchy freeways, some of that stuff. Anything with the freeways with a lot of other genes in it. That's kind of, I've always kind of stayed away from that project just because of the challenge between the asphalt and the yellow belly and trying to figure out which one's which, and dealing with the ivories if you breed two yellow bellies together. But yeah, so that's kind of my dream, is to work on that project someday. Maybe. Nico, what is your favorite snake in your collection right now? Cheers from NorCal. I would say probably, I'll have to show you this one. I show it like on every live stream. I think she's my favorite. I just fed her too, so she's getting pretty big. One of my holdbacks. Oh, she has a stuck shed. Wow. Yeah, I was gonna actually go through all my snakes tonight and do spot cleaning and add water to the substrate. And this girl, it's so dry in here. This girl shed and got a stuck shed, but this is one of my favorites right here. Look at how thick she's getting. That's pretty crazy. The stuck shed sticking up. Poor girl. I'll have to bring her up to the sink. Gotta take all that stuck shed off. But this is actually pastel pinstripe bamboo calico. Possible het desert ghost. That one's probably one of my favorites because I've never produced one before, and I've never really seen one produced. She's pretty awesome. That's a female. Definitely one of my future breeders on that girl. Oh, these snakes, I got to go through them. Oh, I was going to spot clean yesterday, but I decided to feed hatchlings because it was Thursday. I usually feed my hatchlings on Thursdays. Ricardo, if confusion and leopard were priced the same, which they're not, which one would you buy and why? So yeah, so I've actually seen some people breed confusion to leopard, and in some cases, a lot of cases, they can't tell the difference if they actually have confusion or leopard or both confusion and leopard. And a lot of people get so exasperated trying to tell the difference between the two and a lot of their combinations. I guess by themselves you can tell the difference, but when you start mixing them with other genes, that's when you get really challenged, especially if you have other genes on top of one or both. Then it gets really challenging. So in fact, I've gone to a lot of reptile shows, and a lot of people would say, whatever you do, don't breed your confusion to your leopard because it's way too confusing to try to figure out what the offspring are. But so if you actually look at if you actually look at the two, the leopard will actually disrupt the pattern and kind of jumble up the pattern. Both of them are kind of considered dark genes. They'll really darken the combinations, but the confusion tends to be like kind of like the leopard on steroids, where it'll completely just blow apart the pattern. So if you actually look at the leopard pinstripe versus the confusion pinstripe, the confusion just blows it apart into little tiny spots all over the place, where the leopard just kind of distorts it a little bit and jumbles up the pattern. So it really depends on what look you're going for. I'd probably prefer the confusion in certain combinations with like the pinstripe confusion's probably one of the best ones. If I was doing some if I was doing some clown stuff like the Batmans, you really need the leopard in with the spot nose with the Batman to make the Batman. So the Batman is the leopard spot nose clown on that one. Looks like I lost the light here. Fishing around my hatchlings. All right, Lucifer's Reptiles. I recently got an ivory. Nice. Very big female. Has a bump near the vent. Do you know what that could be? Under the scales. Ah. That's not good. Yeah, it sounds like a bump near the vent. Sounds like a tumor in that snake. Not very common, I would say. I don't really know what else it could be. Hopefully it's benign and not aggressive. You probably could bring it to the vet and have the vet look at it and see if there's anything. Sometimes the vet could have an idea as far as what it could be. Dion Ford, what's up? For my first Ball Python, do you think I should get Banana Asphalt Yellow Belly or the Ultramel Het Ghost? Ooh. I don't know. The banana freeways are pretty awesome. Banana Asphalt Yellow Belly. That's kind of the challenge with that. Do you have the asphalt or do you have the yellow belly? So, yeah, if you actually buy another, well, what you actually could do is you could take the Banana Asphalt Yellow Belly and you could breed it to a freeway. And that way, for sure, you'd actually get some banana freeways. The Ultramel, I like the Ultramel with the pied. You could go for the double recessive, although sometimes it could be like a long game with the Ultramels. Yeah, so it's kind of hard. I would probably go with the Ultramel. And probably get another Ultramel just to make some visuals, or at least a het Ultramel with some other genes, and add some more other genes to the Ultramel. And keep in mind the Ultramel is really visually dominant, so you could probably add some pattern enhancing genes, like do like an Enchi Ultramel or a Leopard Ultramel would be pretty awesome. Reptilian Oasis LLC, what's up? All right, we have 69 people on. We've been going for an hour 47. We've been going for a long time. All right. All right, Dennis, I paired a black pastel Enchi yellow belly to my highway. Can you give me your thoughts about that? Do you think it would make a black pastel highway? Wow, let's see. So a black pastel Enchi yellow belly. Yeah, so the highway is the combination of the gravel and the yellow belly. And keep in mind the gravel is associated with the highways, the asphalt is associated with the freeways. So that's the difference between the highways and the freeways. Yeah, so essentially what you would get, so since you have yellow belly, yeah, so you would get a black pastel yellow belly with the gravel in there and the Enchi. So I don't know with the highways if they call them Mardi Gras, because if you have Enchi with the freeways they call them Mardi Gras. I don't know if you call them Mardi Gras the Enchi with the highway. I don't know if there's like a similar slang name to that combination. I don't think there is. But yeah, you definitely get the black pastels in there. That would be pretty interesting. So black pastel Enchi highway. And you would get you'd also get some ivories because you have yellow belly in both snakes. So if you got an ivory with the Enchi, so there's only 2 genes with the ivory, that will actually bring out the pattern and the color of the ivory. Most of your ivories are kind of like a dirty white snake. You see a little kind of a little color on the white snake. It's not like really super bright like your blue-eyed leucistics. And the only two genes that can really break through the ivory are the Enchies and the leopards. It's a leopard more so than the Enchies. Usually, if you mix both of them together, the leopard and the Enchi, sometimes you can make some pretty crazy ivories. I'd say possibly that Enchi would actually bring some of the black pastel. You may be able to tell if you have Enchi and black pastel in some of your ivories, which is kind of interesting too. All right, let's see. Robert, I have a 2-year-old super pastel. She is 2,043 grams. What do I do about her size? Yeah, 2 years old at 2,000 grams. That's actually pretty good. That's a pretty good size female. So a lot of times at 2 years old, you won't hit 2,000. Sometimes at 2 years old, you're right on the edge of about 1,500. And usually once you're growing them up, a lot of times they'll get stuck at like anywhere from like 800 to 1,200. And they'll kind of be really picky up until a certain point, and then they start eating again. And usually about after 2 years, they're about 1,500. But you're almost at 2,100 for 2 years. That's almost like the size of a 3-year-old. I'd say that's pretty big. Is Bobby about to shed? Yes, Bobby was on the verge of shedding. Yes. I probably shouldn't have held him that long because he just ate a rat 2 days ago. So he's still kind of digesting and in a shed. He's not really happy. Brett, how do I tell if a ball python is gravid or just fat? Good question. Usually what'll actually happen is they'll stop eating when you pair them up. Once they stop eating and go for like a month without eating, if they're gravid, they'll continually get fatter and fatter and fatter without eating, and you'll kind of notice it if you keep checking on them every day that they'll get bigger and bigger. If they're fat and they stop eating, sometimes you can actually tell they're getting a little bit thinner and thinner the longer they fast. So that's kind of the difference between the two. Robert Bailey, channel member, what's up? How long are you going live tonight? I have no clue. I might go 8 more minutes. We'll just do 2 hours tonight because I can feel my voice already going out after 2 hours of talking. All right, Forrest Harper, what would desert ghost do to albino? Good question. I don't think I've ever seen a desert ghost albino. I would think that you would completely lose the desert ghost and you would be able to tell if there was desert ghost in your albino. Of course, who knows once you produce one, it could be pretty awesome. Have you ever seen a bamboo axanthic TSK? No. It'd be interesting to see the difference between a regular bamboo, which almost looks axanthic, and then a bamboo axanthic to see if there's actually that much difference. I bet they made one over on Morphmarket. I could actually go over there and check one out. Let's see. Funny gaming. I'm a book person. Any great book to learn about morphs and genetic problems? Not that I really know of. The only ball python book that was really in depth was actually put out by Nerd, New England Reptile Distributors. It's a really expensive book, a really super thick book. And it's pretty technical too. Covers a lot of the genes. I actually had that book for a while, and I got it as a package deal when I bought one of my ball pythons, and I decided to sell it over on Amazon because I got a book, which is kind of crazy. Will Mill, what's up? Is leopard still best to breed with ivory? Yes. I would say yeah. So if you want to make an ivory that actually has some colors coming out, colors and patterns coming out of the ivory. As a matter of fact, what I would probably do, if you want to make an ivory and work leopard into it, I would probably also at the same time work other bright genes in with the leopard. So I do like a leopard, like leopard pastel, orange dream, something like that. Some of those really bright genes, because essentially what will happen is the leopard will bring out a lot of the colors and the patterns in the all white snake, and a lot of times the leopard will actually bring the colors of what other genes are in there too. So sometimes you can get some really crazy looking ivories with leopard and then some of the brightening genes. James Staples the Fifth. I wish my girl was as mellow as Bobby. If I am not standing, she is going. That's how Bobby was for pretty much the first 6 months. I did videos every single day with Bobby around my neck, and he wasn't used to being held at all. And for the first 6 months, he just choked me out and tried to run. And it seemed like after about 6 or 7 months, he just kind of snapped and got really chill. All of a sudden, it was kind of interesting. Ivory leopards, yes, very gorgeous. Monarch or Ultramel? If you have the money, go for Monarch. So if you can spend more money, you'll make more money in the end. Monarch is really close to Ultramel. But it's a lot more expensive. Seems like the Monarch kind of has a darker background than a lot of your Ultramels. Although I have seen some Ultramels with pretty dark backgrounds over in the UK that look pretty close to some of the Monarchs. I would go with Ultramels. Personally, I would spend the money for Monarchs. Go for Monarch. Devin, a few months ago, I picked up a super pastel lesser inchy fire. Wow. I was wondering what you're thinking of price range on your reticulated pythons. Yeah, so I was kind of looking at some of the prices on these retics. So my male, when I bought my male, I think I paid $750 for my male, but the guy was desperate to get rid of it because it was extremely aggressive. He had that male reticulated python in this big, it was like an 8-foot enclosure and a tiny little hatchling right in the middle of the enclosure. And then the reticulated python hatchling male, which was Sunny, he was like in this little, I can't remember what it was. It was like some kind of a little skull or something like that. And he was so wild and so super mean. I could not believe it. As a matter of fact, he was like trying to bite me, and then I picked him up and he was like peeing and pooping all over me. It's just the craziest snake I've ever picked up. And originally that snake sold for like $1,500. He got it from some big retic breeder for $1,500. Sold it to me for $750. I was kind of looking over on Morphmarket as far as prices. I'm thinking about, I don't know, I was thinking like $850 shipped on those hatchlings, which is a lot less than I probably could get for them. But the only reason I really was thinking about bringing them down that much is because I'll probably have almost 50 of the same thing. And for that price, I could almost wholesale them to someone who could like double the price and just flip them. So, and they're my first retics. So yeah, and they grow super fast too. So if I have that many of the same thing and I don't sell them within, the first 6 months or 8 months, they're all going to turn into big monsters. They're going to grow super fast too. And they're going to eat me out of house and home. That's the other thing. So So that's kind of what I'm thinking. 850 shipped. I've been told by a few breeders that the scaleless females were infertile. That I do not think has been proven. As a matter of fact, if I make a scaleless female, I might hold one back just to prove everyone wrong and breed that thing and see if I can produce a whole clutch of scaleless, which would be pretty cool. I might actually hold back like a male and a female completely scaleless and see if I can breed them together, which would be pretty awesome. Wish I had a cow retic the size of a ball python. Yes, cow reticulated pythons. That's the all white retic with the black spots. It kind of looks like a Dalmatian. It's pretty awesome. If you confirm a lock, do you separate them or leave them together? I leave them together for the full 3 to 5 days. Let's see. We've been going for 2 hours. Let's see if I can hit the last few questions. Wow, there's a lot more questions. Let's see. Do you think Batmans and acid combos will continue to grow into higher priced snakes? Yes, I think so. What's the ideal humidity? I actually have an all-room humidifier. I'm setting it at 56%, and as you can see from the last snake, I'm still getting some bad sheds. So I still have to add water to the substrate. So the problem is if I go above 56%, that thing goes through a lot of water. It's incredible. I'm already filling that thing with 4 gallons a day, which is pretty crazy. Let's see. Did you ever figure out what happened last year with that entire clutch that were pearly white with no veins? Yes. So I had a whole clutch of eggs from my pied female that were all infertile, but they all looked like fertile eggs. They all looked fertile, but when you candled them, there was no veins inside. And I actually asked one of the big breeders, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, who breeds thousands of clutches. He's had thousands and thousands of clutches. He said out of all of his snakes and all the years that he's been breeding ball pythons, he's only ever had one clutch like that, where all of them look really good and none of them have veins. So he says just one of those random anomalies where you'll actually get bad eggs that look like good eggs. So that's one of the reasons you should actually candle them. Let's see. What's the difference between mimosa and enchi? Enchi is a single gene. Mimosa is a ghost champagne. It's actually 3 genes if you include 2 genes as the recessive ghost. Is it normal right after my ball python eats that its head gets swollen? Never seen that one before. The pet stores were telling their customers to add the heat mat to the side of the glass tank instead of the bottom. They're saying snakes are coming back with burns. Yes, if your snakes are coming back with burns, you need a thermostat on your heat pad. Yes. So what I do with my thermostat is I actually put the temperature probe right on the heat mat. So when the heat mat reaches 90 degrees, it'll actually turn off the heat mat. That's another reason to have your probe right on the heat mat, because if you actually take the probe and move it away, essentially what happens is if your probe's not right up to the heat mat's going to turn on high and just cook everything until that probe reaches 90 degrees, and then you'll have these big swings in the heat mat. So as long as your probe's right on the heat mat, you'll never get above whatever setting you set your thermostat to. So you should never burn your ball pythons. It's just the wrong setup. Yeah, I would not put the heat mat on the side. What would you pair with an enchi het albino? I would do another het albino. I actually like the dark genes with albino. So you could do like a black pastel het albino, or like a black het albino, which will, if you actually hit the dark genes in with the albino, you'll get a really high white albino, which is pretty cool. Mimosa het pied, yeah, so that's your mimosa het pied. So that's kind of interesting too, because the mimosa with the ghost and the champagne, if you actually have het pied, a lot of times one copy of the pied gene, you mix it in with champagne, and a lot of times they'll look like visual pieds, which is kind of interesting. If you actually bred that with another het pied, and you actually had the mimosa pied, I believe that would be a completely white snake. So the champagne pied, I believe, is completely white on that combination. Zach, I just bought a Spectre Gravel Fire female, plan to pair with my pastel ivory. Nice. Have a male, seems to be lesser. That's all I know gene wise, but the guy is 2,500 grams, 7 years old. How can you tell if they're carrying the Volta gene? Yeah, the Volta's not really a gene per se, it's more of a locality. And if you breed a Volta to something else, you don't get half Voltas and half non-Voltas. You'll get it'll kind of dilute the Volta. Everything will be like 50% Volta. And essentially what Volta is, it kind of makes the Ball Python bigger. A lot of times you can tell by the head, it'll have a really big head as far as the Volta. But it's kind of like it's almost like a gene in dogs. You know, if you took a poodle and you bred it to something else, everything would be like half poodle. It wouldn't be like you get poodles and then something else purebred. That's kind of like the Volta gene, is it kind of gets diluted as you breed it out. All right, so we've been going 2 hours 6 minutes. Are you gonna watch the Super Bowl? I actually don't have a TV. Raven and Nathan, what's up? Do you ever think about getting into hot snakes? No. What do you think about tri-stripe bongo? You get all bongo het tri-stripes. If you can actually put the bongo in with the tri-stripe, that would be kind of interesting. Can't say I've ever seen that one before. Eating pizza, watching Chris Hardwick, best combo ever. I wish we could get pizza up here in the mountains. Wonderland Reptiles, have a great night. All right. All right, so yeah, I skipped over a few questions, but I think I'm gonna call it, because we've been going for 2 hours 7 minutes and my voice is shot. What's up, Matthew Swope? All right, yeah, join US Ark. Yeah, let's fight the Lacey Act. Crazy, all the things that's going on lately. So, all right, so I just kind of randomly threw this on. We did actually pretty good for a Friday night. I think we're up to 70 something people, which is kind of surprising for Fridays. Usually I do better like on a Monday or Tuesday. And if I go earlier, it seems like I hit a lot of the people in the UK and the other side of the planet. But starting late on a Friday, yeah, everyone's like starting to party right now. So not a lot of people around. All right, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for all the questions and the super chats. And I'll see you in the next video.